Between June 11, 1999 and February 19, 2001, I had endured several letters, assessments concerning my demeanor, some with my direct involvement and several without my knowledge that they were even being requested. In order, these assessments included: number 1, June 24th and 25th, Myrna E. Pinedo, Ph.D. letter, stated that I was domestically violent and that I was hostile and disparaging in my remarks towards my ex-mother-in-law, June Murata. Reference divorce diaries, videos 1 and 5. August 13, 1999, Douglas Bartholomew, MS, DV assessment, stated that I present with many, if not most, of the traits commonly associated with the offender population, to be further discussed in this video. Number 3, August 13, 1999, David Penner, Ph.D. summary letter of treatment, stated, I am writing a letter summarizing my treatment of Mr. Paige when he presented with moderate anxiety and mild depressive feelings. And not only are these reported false accusations disturbing to Mr. Paige, but also the state of his relationship with his wife, with whom he would very much like to reconcile. He also deeply misses residing with his children. Number 4, August 19, 1999, Carberry O'Shea, MSW assessment, stated, the mother, ex-wife, Leslie Paige, has not made a compelling case for father's supervised visits with the sons, and then goes on to state, based on Myrna Pinedo and Doug Bartholomew's reports, there is compelling evidence from the professionals involved that this father has engaged in controlling behaviors for a long time that have been harmful to his marriage and affect the children. Number 5, September 2nd, 1999, John Plummer, MSW, DV assessment, stated that he, in reference to me, has not used any abusive or controlling behaviors. This opinion may not be shared by other collateral contacts. He, John Plummer, MSW, also mentioned to me of his concerns, as well as of other counselors, of Doug Bartholomew's credibility, along with his litigious criteria for evaluating domestic violence cases. Number 6, July 31st, 2000, Marcia Hedrick, GAL report concerning my ex-wife, Leslie Paige, states, when pressed to corroborate these allegations, Leslie was not able to supply any credible evidence. This pattern suggests problems with judgment and credibility, and Leslie needs to stop making any allegations against Bob that cannot be substantiated by disinterested third party or other reliable mechanisms. This last statement was also put in our October 13, 2000 family plan. Number 7, November 6, 2000, CPS report filed by ex-wife Leslie Paige, states, harassed her, my daughter, Mika. Terrorized verbally, father tampers with mom's car, afraid of dad, mental emotional abuse, ugly from dad, some hitting Bob loves to argue. Number 8, November 28, 2000, Ann Cohen, MA assessment letter, states, Mika reports a history of paternal domestic violence, excessive control, and verbal abuse. There is a strong suggestion of sexual abuse. Number 9, February 19, 2001, David Penner, Ph.D., termination summary, stated, focus was on coping with a host of false allegations by his ex-wife, resulting in numerous court actions and appeals. Patient has concern about his children's well-being emotionally through this entire process. Much of the evidentiary letters, reports, and files necessary to prove my innocence of these false allegations I hadn't obtained yet. These included: 1, the May 4, 1998 Jean Marie Lucci assessment of RP, which stated, Mr. and Mrs. Paige, historians, put locks on the windows and a key to a deadbolt on the front door, not for me to lock the family in the house. I didn't receive a copy of this letter until February of 2000. Number 2, July 27, 1999, court hearing transcript, Murata versus Paige. Concerns ex-mother-in-law's testimony where she is caught giving misinformation concerning June 8, 1999, alleged break-in into her house by sons and I, and her having to finally admit that there were no harassing remarks made to her by me. Number 3, August 5, 1999, June Murata court docket, which explained why her false charges against me were dismissed and her no contact order being denied. Number 4, August 12, 1999, Johnson letter confirming that there was no molestation of my daughter. I did give this letter to Bartholomew at our August 13, 1999 meeting, but he had already written up his DV report on me on August 11, 1999, and when I gave it to him, he took it, placed it on his desk, had me sign his evaluation, and then asked me to leave. Number 5, November 10, 1999, Evergreen Hospital drug test report concerning Mika's alleged first suicide attempt, which stated that she had no drugs in her system. Number 6, September 29, 1999, credit debt report, verifying Leslie's addiction to credit cards in the amount of $102,500. Number 7, October 1st, 1999 to September 7th, 2000, Dave Vandergriff, MSW, DV Diary. A summary report of each of my DV classes during September 2nd, 2000 meeting. He speaks of the personal relationship and social bonding that Myrna Pineno, Ph.D., and Doug Bartholomew, MSW, shared during this time period. Number 8, February 17, 2000 letter, Charles R. Wang. My daughter, Mika's Overlake Hospital physician, overseeing her classes during her depression and alleged suicide attempts, in which he states, the hospital also did not feel compelled to give a recommendation on as to where Mika should live since we did not have reasons to suggest one plan over another. And he also stated, to the best of my recollection, as well as a review of chart information, there was no documentation of any wound or scar to her wrist at the time of hospitalization. The letters that disproved that I had allegedly assaulted my father-in-law, Mike Murata, yelled at my daughter, and was summarily kicked out of my church and asked never to return during my daughter's confirmation ceremony on March 28, 1999. Number 7, July 16, 1999, Shepherd of the Hills Lutheran Church, letter written by Pastor Reeves. Actually, I did give Bartholomew a copy of this letter, but he lost it, so it was never referenced in his DV report. He states, on that date, I did not personally witness any angry or agitated conversation between Robert and his daughter, Mika. 2. Second, it is also untrue that I exchanged words with Robert Paige on that day to the effect that he should never again come back to our congregation. And number 8, September 19, 1999, letter, Gary R. Sitzman, letter in which he stated, at no time during this rehearsal process did I witness anything that could be construed as a struggle, confrontation, or disruptive behavior by Mr. Paige. If such behavior had occurred, I'm convinced it would have been extremely obvious to anyone there and I would have noticed it. Number 9, December 4th, 1999, letter, Leslie James, letter in which he states, I did not see or hear any outburst or disturbance involving Robert Paige on that date, nor I did hear of any such disturbance afterwards. The letters, transcripts, rebuttal logs, police reports, CPS reports, and hospital reports that Doug Bartholomew, MS, did have at his disposal, most of which I had given to him, were, in my estimation, more than enough to at least create doubt in what I was being falsely accused of by my ex-wife. It is interesting to note that Doug Bartholomew, MS, filtered through these papers to come up with his opinion of me to conclude that I was DV. In listing these reports, I've included all the pertinent information that was in them and highlighted in red what he gleaned from them. Number 1, June 24, 1999, rebuttal concerning Dr. Myrna E. Pineno, Ph.D. Please view Divorce Diaries 5 to hear these opinions. Special note, the following two documents, the May 13, 1999 CPS report, it was actually filed on May 21, 1999, and the May 21, 1999 Fairfax Hospital report were filed on the very same day. It is quite apparent that on this day, while I was at work, and quite unbeknownst to me, my then wife, Leslie Paige, took the day off from work and pulled my daughter out of school to begin making their false statements that Leslie would later report in the May 25, 1999 Overlake Hospital report and in her June 11, 1999 no contact order. After reading through these two documents, it is quite apparent that they had both conferred with each other as to what they were going to say, due to the similarities of what they reported. It is also interesting to note that they wouldn't always agree on the degree of my abusiveness towards them. Sadly, Doug Bartholomew, MS, because of his bias towards me, was unable to recognize this, nor was I ever allowed to point this out to him. It wasn't until the July 31, 2000 GAL report filed by Marcia Hedricks, Ph.D., that this was finally made apparent. Number 2, May 13th, actually 21st, 1999 CPS report, filed by Leslie Paige. From what Ref is hearing from Mika and Mother, Father's anger is escalating to the point that Mika is think of killing herself to escape the situation. In December 98, Mika tried to overdose on pills. When asked what she was thinking in regards to the razor blades, she says that she doesn't know. He was yelling at her and ripped the phone out of the wall. Ref states that Mika has an assessment today, 5/21/99, at 5 p.m. at Fairfax Hospital. Father has changed all the locks in the house. There is a deadbolt on the front door that can only be opened by a key from the inside. Father has the only key to this lock. He is no longer welcome in his church because of a huge scene he made at Mika's confirmation when she honored her grandfather as a great influence on her life. Mika went through an assessment at Fairfax and said that they wanted her to stay. She said he has thrown things before, that he throws things when he is mad, but not at them. Mother has assessed support through Eastside domestic violence. Number 3, May 21st, 1999, Fairfax Hospital. All of these allegations of suicidal attempts by overdosing with pills, cutting wrists with razor blades, and sexual abuse when Mika was 8 years old were later refuted and accepted as false in medical reports, letters written by Dr. Joslin, no molestation, Dr. Wang, no cuts on wrists, did not tell Leslie that Mika should move out of the house, and Evergreen Hospital Drug Report number 575294. Upon examination, there were no drugs, let alone Advil, in Mika's body. Referred for suicide assessment, history one time with pills in 1198, recently found with razor blade, patient rise and depressed, sister 22, drug alcohol abuse in past, Mariko, made suicide attempt last week, cutting wrists with razor blade, has guarded plan, i.e. either overdose with pills or cut wrists with razor blades for suicide. Patient reports both severe abuse, have subsequent to father yelling at her. Father yells at patient for leaving things out at school, everything. Mother reports severe emotional abuse toward patient by father. Mother stated that father is very controlling of patient. Mother suspects possible sexual abuse of patient by father when patient was 8 years old. With father and older sister, severe yelling and some physical abuse, emotional abuse by father. Number 4, May 25th, 1999, Overlake Hospital report, Mika-led suicide attempt. Report contains similar and often the very same false allegations. Because of the included doctor's summary report, which verified my daughter never attempted to commit suicide, this became one of several reports and letters that refuted several of Leslie and Mika's false allegations against me. Sadly, Doug Bartholomew, MS, never refers to the doctor's summary report in his assessment of me, only to the false allegations that were made by my ex-wife, Leslie Paige. The patient says that she witnessed a great deal of father's abuse towards her older sister over some years, and she thought that her older sister left home in order to run away from her father. The patient says that when her sister left the house, her father turned his anger towards her. The patient expressed anger when her peers suggested that she may be too hard on her father. The patient was hesitant to agree to family work with her father. However, the patient did agree to a continuation of individual and family work with her mother through her current psychiatrist, Myrna Pinedo, MD. The patient's mother found that the patient may have taken a sharp object and attempted to take her own life. In November of 1998, the patient took an overdose of Advil. The patient admits to feeling helpless and hopeless about her current home situation and says that she has frequent suicidal thoughts, although she would not admit or deny that she has recently taken a sharp object to cut herself. The patient says that her father has become extremely controlling and demanding, as well as angry and threatening. They, Leslie and Mika, deny that he, father, has been physically abusive towards anyone. The patient has been sexually molested in the past, citing a situation in which the patient was 8 years of age and the mother found some blood spotting in her swimsuit. Now, the report summary, which Bartholomew does not talk about. Report summary: daughter, Mika, becomes labile, unstable, during her monthly menstrual cycle, causing her to suffer from a major depressive state with dystemic disorder, symptoms of low energy, sleep or appetite disturbances, and low self-esteem, resulting in an ideation of suicidal thoughts. That's when she gets suicidal. Present self-harm? No. Length of ideation? Unsure. Attempted suicide? No. Number 5. Report filed by Mary Hamilton, 4/14/92. Comments contained within this report included: Bob, stepfather, and Mariko got into a physical conflict. he had allegedly grabbed her around the neck when trying to restrain her from running. This was already previously discussed in Divorce Diaries Parts 1, 2, 3, and 4, where I was also breaking up a fight between my wife, Leslie, and my stepdaughter, Mariko. Stepfather doesn't want Mariko in home. Now, this statement was later proved to be a typographical error. As is noted later in this report, it was actually Mariko's boyfriend, John Cunliffe, whom I didn't want in our home. More about that later. Mariko appears to be caught in a web of family dysfunctional interaction patterns in which an extended family member, maternal grandmother June, often fuels. Mariko and her mother lived with June between marriages, and June took over the parenting role. She had not until recently understood the importance of giving up that role, plus her alliance with Mariko against Bob. Bob has also been caught in the web fighting to keep his family intact against his mother-in-law's wishes and to maintain a role of authority with Mariko. Hindered from establishing a healthy stepfather-daughter relationship, Bob has restored to demanding respect in punitive ways, such as insisting that Mariko address him as Sir or Mr. Paige, since she refuses to call him Dad, and taking on the position that this is my house to justify going through her things. Up until this time, my stepdaughter had been calling me Dad from the time she was 5 years old when we first met up until she was 12 years old. Upon hearing about this, my then mother-in-law became very upset and would insist with her that she stop calling me that. When she finally gave in to her grandmother June, we did have a discussion about what she would prefer to call me. To give the conversation going, I did suggest rather humorously that she could call me Sir or Mr. Paige, to which we both frowned at, and finally settled on stepdad when introducing me to her teachers and friends. As previously noted, with each of these counselors, as soon as it was noted that the main cause of the dysfunctional patterns in our family was being triggered by my then mother-in-law, June Murata, my wife, Leslie, would cancel any ensuing appointments, citing that she didn't feel comfortable with them anymore, and we would then move on to another counselor, where the process would start all over again. This explains why we had so many counselors, which had occurred over a 2-year time period. As for going through her things, at this time in Mariko's life, she was getting more and more involved in illegal drugs. It is my right to make sure that she wasn't storing any of her drugs in our house as a precaution to prevent any illegal situations from taking place to keep my family safe. Number 6. King County Police Report, April 4th, 1992 Police Report filed by June Murata. It should be noted that it was because of this police report that CPS got involved in our family situation. Phone call to Reverend Vidheim, actually Vadheim. He indicated that he is in counseling with the family and saw them 2 or 3 hours after this altercation. He did not see any bruises on Mariko at that time. Mr. Vidheim, actually Vadheim, went on to say that the family has not had any previous incidents of physical abuse or domestic violence. He also stated that Mariko refuses to participate in counseling and is out of control. Next, he also noted that Bob Paige has an anger management problem. Soon after I saw this inclusion in the police report, I contacted John Vadheim, MSW, concerning this statement, as he told me, and would later write in a letter on my behalf, that he stated to the reporting police officer that with what I had gone through during this time period would have given me every right to be angry with my mother-in-law, not that I had anger management problems. Also, please note, in every ensuing report written about me was there ever any mention of my having an anger management problem. This even includes the 04-14-1992 Mary Hamilton MSW report, along with the 03-04-1992 CPS report, the 07-16-1999 and 08-13-2001 David Penner Ph.D. reports, the 09-02-1999 John Plummer MSW report, the 07-31-2000 Marcia Hedrick's GAL report, and even the 06-28-1999 Myrna Pinedo Ph.D. letters never mentioned my having an anger management problem. Next item. Phone call from Mike Murata. He indicated that his sister-in-law took photos of the bruises. He said he would get the photos for the police file. Mr. Murata also indicated that both he and his wife June observed the injuries and would be willing to testify in court. As previously noted, it was later proven that it was my stepdaughter's boyfriend John Cunliffe who caused these bruises. Phone call to June Murata, checking on the status of the photos. She indicated that they were en route. Received 3 photos of Mariko's bruises from Mike and June Murata. Number 7. November 5th, 1998 police report that was filed by me. Mr. Paige wanted to report an assault that occurred between 0220 and 0300 hours at his residence. He, faced me, with closed fists and stated, "I'll fight you." In this process, the juvenile struck victim 1, Paige, in the face. The juvenile, Andy Phillips, returned to his residence approximately 30 to 40 minutes later. Victim 1, Paige, said he'd phoned the police after hearing noises on his roof and a knocking on the window, daughter's room. Now, concerning this police report, all that Bartholomew included in his assessment of me was this incomplete sentence. There is a 10-598 police report regarding the incident in which a male friend was found in. Number 8, March 4th, 1999. Actually, 1992. Once again, Bartholomew makes a factual error. CPS report, also referred to in his assessment as family reconciliation report. Mariko and her mother were arguing. They also got into a physical altercation. The stepfather intervened in order to try and keep Mariko from leaving to go and spend the night with her boyfriend. He grabbed her around her neck from behind. There is no indication he intended to choke her, and no bruises were left. Again, this was done to try and restrain her from leaving the home. The reference suggested that she stay at an aunt's home, but Mariko has not been willing to do this. She wants to stay with her boyfriend. The stepfather was raised in a home that was very strict. He was raised in an alcoholic home. In the Bartholomew assessment, he states concerning this entry, he reports growing up in a non-pathological nuclear family without traumas or difficulties. In the 1992 CPS report, however, states the stepfather was raised in a home that was very strict. He was raised in an alcoholic home. A more thorough psychological history was not attempted due to time constraints. Even as noted in Marsh Hedrick's 073100 JAL report, she noted that this statement appears in a report regarding Mariko and is a statement she made during a time when she was acting out significantly and was having obvious problems with reliability. Once again, due to Bartholomew's bias against me, he avoids the facts in favor of his own misinformation tactics. Next item. Mrs. Paige's parents reside in Bellingham. They have threatened to get an attorney and seek custody of Mariko due to Mr. Paige. Mariko does not want to live with Mom as her boyfriend is in this area. Additional proof of my mother-in-law's intrusive behaviors in my family affairs. Reverend has the impression that Mariko has manipulated extended family into being against Mr. Paige. Next item. Mother calling requesting help as her daughter is one step away from being a street child. Mariko has been out of the home almost a month and staying with a 17-year-old boyfriend and his father. The family have been trying to get Mariko to leave this situation, and they've given her other choices about where to live. Mariko says this is her dream and that she is happy. Next item. The family reconciliation report of 3/2/92 closed this case contingent on the family continues in counseling, but did not find that abuse did not occur. This information was included in this document as noted in the following entry. It's quite obvious that Bartholomew either couldn't find it or refused to even look for it due to time constraints. Next item. The resulting findings from the investigation are as follows. Number 1. Allegation, physical emotional abuse. Finding, unfounded as to Mariko.